The most dangerous animals in the world. 10. Box jellyfish. Frequently discovered coasting, or gradually moving at speeds near 5 miles for every hour, in Indo-Pacific waters. These straightforward, almost undetectable spineless creatures are considered by the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration as the most venomous marine creature on the planet. Their namesake cubic casings contain up to 15 arms at the corners, with each developing as much as 10 feet in length, all fixed with a large number of stinging cells, known as nematocysts, that contain poisons that all the while assault the heart, sensory system, and skin cells. While neutralizing agents do exist, the toxin is so strong and overpowering that numerous human casualties, of the several revealed lethal experiences every year, have been known to go into stun and suffocate or bite the dust of cardiovascular breakdown prior to arriving at shore. Regardless of whether you are sufficiently fortunate to make it to the medical clinic and get the counteractant, survivors can now and again encounter significant torment for quite a long time thereafter, and bear dreadful scars from the animal's appendages. 9. Indian saw-scaled viper. While a lot of snake animal groups pack enough toxin to effortlessly cut down a human, not every one of them adopt the multifaceted strategy of the Indian saw-scaled snake, which is the reason they are one of the top supporters of snakebite cases, here and there called the little Indian snake or just the saw-scaled snake. These reptiles live in the absolute most populated locales of the reach they possess, which stretches well past India. They stay unnoticeable by utilizing their common cover to mix into desert encompasses. Since they are ordinarily dynamic around evening time, it's ideal to tune in for their protective sizzling sound. This comes from a conduct called stridulation, in which the snake structures loops and rubs its scales together. Indeed, even with a notice, saw-scaled snakes are very forceful, with more than twofold a deadly portion into each chomp. 8. Pufferfish. Pufferfish, otherwise called blowfish, are situated in tropical oceans around the world. In spite of the fact that they're the second most harmful vertebrate on Earth, after the brilliant bolt dart frog, they're seemingly more hazardous as their neurotoxin, called tetrodotoxin, is found in the fish's skin, muscle tissue, liver, kidneys, and balls, which must all be maintained a strategic distance from while setting up the animal for human utilization. In fact, while wild experiences are surely perilous, the danger of death from a pufferfish increments when eating it in nations like Japan, where it is viewed as a delicacy known as fugu and must be set up via prepared, authorized culinary experts, and still, after all, the inadvertent passings from ingestion happen a few times every year. The tetrodotoxin is up to multiple times more toxic than that of cyanide, and can cause stifling of the tongue and lips, wooziness, regurgitating, arrhythmia, trouble breathing, muscle loss of motion, and, whenever left untreated, passing. 7. Black mamba. Despite the fact that species like the boomslang or the ruler cobra are risky gratitude to their particular toxins, the dark mamba is particularly savage because of its speed. The species, which can grow up to 14 feet in length, is the quickest of all snakes, crawling at velocities of up to 12.5 miles every hour, which makes getting away from one in far-off zone significantly more troublesome. Fortunately, dark mambas normally possibly strike when compromised, yet when they do, they'll nibble consistently, conveying enough toxin, a mix of neuro and cardiotoxins, in a solitary chomp to murder 10 individuals. Furthermore, in the event that one doesn't get the correlative neutralizer inside 20 minutes, the nibbles are just about 100% lethal. Where to discover them? The savannas and rough regions of southern and eastern Africa. 6. Sydney funnel web spider. A few arachnids parade their lethality with showy tones or outsider-like extremities, yet few is equipped for finishing on that guarantee as the polished dark Sydney funnel web spider. A channel web's nibble is a genuine purpose for alert. Fatality among grown-ups can happen inside 30 minutes, since the atraxitoxin in their toxin makes the human sensory system short out. Curiously, their toxin isn't especially vexatious to non-primate warm-blooded creatures, including family pets. What makes pipe networks particularly hazardous is their closeness to people, and the characteristic conduct that drives them to look for asylum and assemble networks in shielded tunnels, like shoes and yard adornments. Forceful in any case, and inclined to meandering. Channel networks' teeth can penetrate a human fingernail or even a shoe, which they will do over and over when undermined. The nibble of a channel web is fearsome to such an extent that specialists suggest looking for antidote in the wake of tangoing with any dart bug in the pipe web family, in the event of some unforeseen issue. 5. Stonefish. The most venomous fish known to people is a simple one to miss, which is actually what it needs. Stonefish, all things considered, are named for their visual comparability to rocks. Sitting totally still and mixing directly into the seabed where a clueless foot can undoubtedly venture down on their dorsal blades, ready for action with strong neurotoxins. The unluckiest yokels will step hard, applying more weight and expanding the measure of toxin that gets infused. They may likewise trigger the stonefish's auxiliary safeguard instrument known as a lacrimal saber, which has been compared to a switchblade of the face. Casualty from stonefish toxin can happen inside 60 minutes, so it's prescribed to look for counteragent promptly, applying water warmed to more than 113 degrees Fahrenheit, 45 degrees Celsius, meanwhile to denature the toxin. In particular, watch where you step. Where to discover them? Coastal Indo-Pacific Ocean, the Red Sea, and the Great Barrier Reef. 4. Saltwater crocodile. Florida's gators might be unnerving, yet they don't have anything on their cousin, the fearsome crocodile, which is all the more irritable, effortlessly incited, and forceful toward anything that crosses its way. Of the relative multitude of species on the planet, the biggest, and generally risky, is the saltwater crocodile. These brutal executioners can grow up to 23 feet long, gauge in excess of a ton, and are known to slaughter hundreds every year. With crocodiles overall answerable for more human fatalities every year than sharks. Saltwater crocodiles are particularly perilous as they're amazing swimmers in both salt and fresh water, truly. Their name is confounding, and can hit rapidly with a chomp conveying 3,700 pounds for every square inch of weight, equaling that of the T-Rex. On the off chance that that is adequately not to frighten you, placed it in context. Humans eat into a very much done steak at around 200 psi, a simple 5% of the strength of a salty's jaw. Where to discover them? The Indo-Pacific locale, going from parts of India and Vietnam, right to northern Australia. 3. Tsetse fly. Frequently viewed as the world's most risky fly, the tsetse fly, a little spot of creepy crawly that measures between 8 to 17 millimeters, or about a similar size as the normal house fly, is regularly found in sub-Saharan Africa, particularly all through nations in the focal point of the landmass. While the flies themselves are frightful blood-sucking bugs that normally feed during the pinnacle warm hours, their actual fear lies in the protozoan parasites they spread, known as trypanosomes. These infinitesimal microorganisms are the causative specialist of African sleeping sickness, an infection set apart by neurological and meningoencephalitic manifestations including social changes, helpless coordination, just as the aggravations in resting cycles that give the disease its name. In the event that untreated, the condition can be lethal. While there are no immunizations or drugs accessible to forestall disease, strategies for assurance incorporate wearing unbiased hued apparel. The tsetse fly is pulled into splendid and dull tones, particularly blue, abstaining from brambles during the day, and utilizing permethrin-treated stuff in more far-off territories. Where to discover them: the Sudans, the Democratic Republic of the Congo, and Angola. 2. Mosquito. Checking in at only 3 mm at their littlest, the normal mosquito, significantly smaller than the tsetse fly, positions as the second generally hazardous. Our thinking. The sheer number of passings every year, brought about by different microbes that few types of mosquitoes, of the more than 3,000 on the planet, convey to people. The bothering bugs, basically those from the genera Aedes, Anopheles, and Culex, are the essential vectors of illnesses like intestinal sickness, chikungunya, encephalitis, elephantiasis, yellow fever, dengue fever, a West Nile infection, and the Zika infection, which by and large torment an expected 700 million and slaughter around 725,000 individuals every year. As the World Health Organization notes, the greater part of the human populace is at present in danger from mosquito-borne infections. Given that the nuisances are pulled into our internal heat levels and the CO2 we breathe out, our best instruments to forestall disease lie in the utilization of bug anti-agents high in dynamic fixings like DEET and picaridin. Where to discover them? Every district on the planet aside from Antarctica. 1. Humans. Astounded. All things considered, we're creatures as well, and since we've been slaughtering each other for a very long time, with the complete passings from war alone assessed at between 150 million and 1 billion, and that was 10 years prior, it's an easy decision that we top the rundown. Despite the fact that individuals are supposed to be living in the most quiet period now than at some other time in our set of experiences, we actually attack each other with staggeringly high paces of silly mercilessness, from weapon savagery to psychological oppressor assaults the world over. We are risky to different creatures as well. Think a worldwide temperature alteration, the decimation of timberlands and coral reefs, and over-tourism. Given the danger we posture to incalculable different animals, and the way that we regularly act unreasonably and have the ability to obliterate our whole planet with a large group of frightening weapons like atomic gadgets and hereditarily adjusted superbugs, we are soundly on the rundown as the most risky creature on the planet.